Did you know that there's a tiny change that you can make in your drop right now that can make it feel huge and hit hard? Plus, this doesn't require any single plugin. Listen to this. Pretty simple drop, but here's what you're gonna do. First, we're just gonna go ahead and delete these first two beats, and then I'm just gonna search for something like impact or one shot, something like that. Now, of course, you can make this sound yourself. That's totally fine, but this is a video that I want to be quick with. Next thing I'm going to do is find a vocal or a laser. This is what I call fire punch. What this is a subconscious effect that feels like it punches you and baits out fire emojis in the comments. But what's actually happening here? On the first beat, you do some kind of impact or one shot. And then on beat number 2, you do a lighter sound, something like a lighter vocal chop, laser, but it's a great way to start any drop. It can help spark ideas if you're stuck on what to make. It sort of sets it up and makes the drop feel fuller without necessarily adding more layers or doing crazy sound design. Now, because this is just a little demo track, let me show you some real world examples where I use it in a bunch of songs that I've made. You hear that? Impact and vocal chop. See if you can notice it here. Really simple. Impact. In this case, a brass hit. And then this one, higher register sound. Fire punch. And then into the full drop. Fire punch again. As you can hear, we got our impact, just a bass one shot, a high-pitched vocal. This one here, just on the first 2 beats. And the fire punch is just one small thing that you can do to make it feel and sound bigger. Hi, I'm Ash. Welcome back to my channel. That's right, I got a couple more tiny tips to show you in this video. But the reason I kept it to 3 tips is because these are the type that aren't dependent on any specific plugins. You know the type of tips that sound like they're just meant to sell you a plugin? Nah, that's not what this video is about. That's not to say there isn't any value in getting new plugins, but I just don't want that to be the main focus of this video. So if you're ready to jump in, smash that like button, ding the bell, and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. On to tip number 2. So the next thing I'm gonna do is every time a snare hits, I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna hit 0 on Ableton. And that just mutes that little section. And I'm gonna do that with most of my snares. As you can see, around the 3 is where the snare hits. And then this is what it's gonna sound like. And I call this trick post-snare clarity. Now, what do I mean by post-snare clarity? What we're essentially doing is we're silencing every sound right after the snare hits. Even like the half beat after a snare hits, you just get that little bit of silence. I found this out when I was researching a bunch of Space Lace's songs. This is the song. This is the waveform of the snare. It's literally empty. So when you're doing bigger drops, sometimes to add emphasis to a certain section or to make it feel a little tighter, I'll mute all of the sounds that come after the snare. So you can even go super crazy with it and do a full snare pause. But that depends on the vibe that you want to do with your song. You can also do this if you have a sounds group. I know we said no plugins, but you can do a utility and do something like that. Make a hit on every single snare. I mean, it's not a special plugin. It's literally a stock plugin. So don't come at me. You can do this with the volume, especially that first snare. It's really nice to have that follow up to the fire punch with a snare that just hits. So it's almost like a 1, 2, 3, and then the drop starts. Now when it comes around again, another good place to mute it. This is one of those things you want to do as well that has a lot of trial and error. I won't do this for every single snare. Plus, if you need a capital P producer reason to do this, if you're like me and you run a lot of clippers, compressors, limiters, which is really common in this genre of EDM, doing post snare clarity will reset all of those limiters and compressors so that when the next big wall of sound hits, it's not as harsh on those plugins, which will basically lead to a cleaner mixdown. But hearing and seeing this in action goes to prove that a strong arrangement will have more impact than like the next esoteric, convoluted, or obscure production technique. Let me show you an example of this in some of my other songs as well. So I really make it happen here with this trap song.
Are you telling me a blood starved this beast?
Notice how I'm not doing it every single snare, but most snares I'm doing post snare clarity. So you can see even the half beat after every one of my snares, which is on the 3 here like this, just to add a little bit more pause, a little bit more push and pull. Going back to this song, you can see it right there. This is where the snare is on the 3. This is the snare, and you can see post snare clarity right in the section that I'm talking about. And as I said, I don't do it every single time. I wanted to preserve this melody here, so I didn't mute this. And here's what this song sounded like before I did post snare clarity. It just sounds a little more loosey-goosey. It's a really subtle effect, but it adds that little bit of polish, and when the drop has that slight bit of polish, it will naturally sound fuller and more complete. Now, going over this idea of making the drop sound more complete, there are a few specific type of sound or rhythm that you can add, and that is tip number 3. If you're upset that your social media reach isn't good enough despite having a following, through this video sponsored DistroKid, they've partnered with Bandzoogle to help you make a website. Well, why would you need a website? Let me tell you. You can try Bandzoogle to give you a dedicated website where you can show exactly what you want and how to present yourself as an artist in the best way possible. This is all outside of algorithms or layout changes or even potential app bans. That sounds crazy? It shouldn't be. This is a great way to present an electronic press kit that you can use as a landing page so that you can present yourself to potential agents, labels in the most professional way possible. Bandzoogle also has the ability to have you sell merch or music so that you can escape the dreaded streaming service trap of half a penny for one of your songs being streamed. So get the step up you deserve by using Bandzoogle, and with a DistroKid membership, you can try it free for 30 days. Use my VIP link to sign up for DistroKid and get a Bandzoogle trial as well. Thank you so much to DistroKid for sponsoring this video. Now, make another new track. I'm gonna type in ride, get a symbol like that, and then put this on every quarter note. Duplicate that. That's not just it though. We're not done yet. We're just gonna make a new MIDI track. Use any synth that you have. All I'm doing is taking a saw wave. I'm gonna open it up. Our root of this song is E, so I'm gonna find an E up high, E4. Then I'm just gonna go either one note up or one note down and make one big long sound. I'm gonna turn this into a super saw by boosting up the unison. What we're essentially doing is adding what I call an anchor. An anchor being a steady rhythm to tie the whole drop together. Now, it doesn't even have to be hats. This dissonance layer is also acting as an anchor because it gives you one steady sound that plays throughout. Of course, being muted at times in order to follow what I did with post snare clarity glues the song together by sitting underneath the main sounds and adds to the fullness, filling in gaps for your listener throughout the entire sonic spectrum. Even do it right underneath when your main drop sounds hit. Technically, this bass here is acting as an anchor because of its 8th note. I can even go back to amygdala here. And I've got that same dissonance layer over here. EQ'd so that it fits more. And I also have another layer, that's another anchor, which is just a sound that's just holding the rhythm down. Now, you might be asking me, Ash, what do all of these tips have in common? Essentially, it just comes from contrast. Heaviness, fullness of your drop will come from push and pull. Back when I first started producing, the only thing I had in my head was like crazy hype, heavy drop in my mind at all times. So I'd always try to add layers. As I got better, I realized if the whole song is fat, then there's nothing to compare it to. You know, the whole you can't have good days without bad days type. So you want to try to find pockets of your song where you can subtract rather than add. And that's what the fire punch does. That's what the post snare clarity does. And then you can add subtle layers like the dissonance and the steady rhythms, the anchors, in order to fill out the sonic spectrum. Now, these are not the only things that you can do to your drop to make it sound full. There are plugins that will help. And if you want to check that out, I've got a video right here that you can watch. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Now go make some bangers. Peace.